So hello everyone, my name is Becky with Scott Leroy Marketing, and today we are going to be doing our opportunities and sales pipeline overview. So we'll be going through talking about what the opportunities are and the sales pipeline is, and so we'll be going through that as well as how to create opportunities and walking you through the whole transaction, what it would look like through an opportunity. So before we get started, though, a couple of things. First of all, if you are here with me live, if you have any questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat as you have those questions. I'll do my best to get them answered in real time. Usually, for the sake of timing, I will save those questions for the very end, just so that I can make sure I can get through all of today's class material, as well as answering your questions, giving you a good answer, as well as a lot of the more frequently asked questions do get answered in the course of the class. So hopefully that'll help, but definitely drop those questions as you have them, and I will make sure that those questions get answered so that you can get rocking and rolling there. If you are watching this back on recording and you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us via email. Our email is support@scottleroymarketing.com. I did drop that in the chat for you a second ago. So anyone here with us live, you can feel free to reach out to us via email as well with any questions or if you're running into any snags. Today's class recording will be available on our YouTube channel in about 24 hours. We do aim for end of business day, especially since it is a Friday. We will aim for end of business day. However, sometimes with uploading speeds, it can take a little bit longer. So we do say one business day, but sometimes we again tend to aim for end of business day. So alrighty, without further ado, actually, we're going to jump over to the YouTube channel so I can walk you through that. When you are on our YouTube channel, we do always recommend that you look for the most recent videos. Things are always changing both with Command and the services that we offer here at Scott Leroy Marketing. So I just always recommend looking for the most recent video. Things are always changing again. So the easiest place to find those most recent videos is using this videos tab right here. When you are on the videos tab, it will put all of our videos in reverse chronological order. In other words, the most recent video will be up at the very top and they will get older the further down you scroll. Now, if you are searching for a specific video, so we can say opportunities and sales pipeline like today's class. So if we search for that, you'll see it does not always put those videos in order, so you will want to make sure you're scrolling through and looking at those dates here. This is based off of YouTube's algorithm. It's not something that we can adjust the order on our end. So just keep an eye on those dates as you scroll through. I believe this one, so the one from a month ago is our most recent one, but sometimes it puts older ones up at the top and switches them around. So just keep an eye on those. Now, without further ado, we're going to jump over to our command to look at opportunities. So first of all, before we jump into opportunities, what are opportunities? So opportunities are going to be your transactions within command. So it's going to start at the time you meet your new lead, all the way to the time you get to the closing table. And it's basically how you're going to track that real estate transaction all the way through. So I'll be walking you through the basics for the first half of class, how to the outline of or the overview of the opportunities tab, but also we'll look at how to create opportunities, how to manage them, edit them, move them along through the actual sales pipeline. And then we'll spend the last half of class actually walking through the sales pipeline, meaning from the time you start the relationship to having an appointment scheduled with that person, to getting documents signed, and then all the way up to submitting your documents for compliance to your market center and things like that. So again, the first half is going to be more of an overview of how to do a lot of things, and then the second half is going to actually walk you through the process. So so we're going to go ahead and jump through. What is a sales pipeline? You may be asking. The sales pipeline is basically the lifetime of the opportunity. So it's the pipeline that the opportunity will travel along, and it'll make a little bit more sense as we go look at our opportunities applet. So we're going to go ahead. Before we go over there, there is one setting that you will want to check before you start creating opportunities in your command, and that is to make sure that your documents, your e-signature provider is connected to command. So we're in command, which is agent.kw.com, signed in here with my KW logins. I'm going to click my name in the top right corner, and from the drop-down menu, I'm going to click Settings. Now, our settings is automatically going to load to the applications page, and you will see Lone Wolf connected. That is the one you would want now, unless your Market Center uses .loop, then you can definitely continue using .loop. KW is getting rid of DocuSign effective July 14th. So it's permanently disconnected on July 14th. And after that date, you will not be able to send or receive documents in command. You will not be able to access your old DocuSign through there. So you'll want to make sure your Lone Wolf is connected or your .loop, whatever you are using. We'll be talking as if we're using Lone Wolf since that is what most market centers are using. But if your market center does use .loop instead, then definitely stick with what they recommend. It's a little bit different for everyone. So, alrighty. So we're going to go ahead. We have that connected. If you're not sure how to connect it, there should be a button. I'm going to scroll down so you can see what it looks like. It'll look very similar to what it looks like here next to my .loop button. I can just click connect account and it will prompt you to sign in. For Lone Wolf, we do have a tip video that walks you through creating an account, connecting it to your command. We also have our Lone Wolf Transact 101 class that we've been hosting more and more recently, and we will have that again next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, as well as it will be going into our monthly rotation starting next Friday at the same time as this class, so 1 p.m. Eastern Time that way. So either way, you're welcome to join us. You're welcome to find those past class recordings on our YouTube channel. Again, the videos tab, if you're over there right now, it is actually our top video. We just had it yesterday. So you're more than welcome to check that out. And that walks through the Lone Wolf side of things. It's kind of like a part 2 to this class or a part 1, whichever way you want to look at it. They go hand in hand, the opportunities and the Lone Wolf class, they go hand in hand. So we're going to not go into Lone Wolf too much today. We'll talk a little bit about it, but not too much. But this is where you would connect it. You just want to make sure you have your e-signature provider connected first of all. Alrighty, now I'm going to go back to my command home just so we can be in a familiar place. And now we're going to go over to our opportunities applet. So if you're not familiar with the applets menu, it's on the left-hand side. It has all of these little icons here that you can hover over and it will give you the name of the applet. You can also click this red square with the white KW and it will expand that whole menu and you'll be able to find the applet that you need just really quickly. You can click it again to minimize it. We're going to be hanging out in the opportunities applet today. It's this one that's like 2 hands and a handshake. So I'm going to open that. So we're going to go ahead and talk about what we're seeing here. So this is going to be our opportunities dashboard. So we have a couple different tabs at the top. We have our pipelines, which we'll circle back to in just a second. We have the opportunities tab here, and this will show all of the opportunities that you have within this account. So if you are on a team, if you are have your own team, you're a rainmaker of a team, or if you are just an agent on a team, you may need to toggle between your accounts. Click your name in the top right corner, and you can switch between your team profile and your personal account. So switch between those if you need to find your opportunities. But this all opportunities tab will show the opportunities that are for that account that you are currently in. So you can look through here, find all of your opportunities in a list format. You can search through them by address, the opportunity name, the contact name. We can also use our smart views to look at our closed ones, those that are live in our pipeline, lost and archived, or pending well, that's a smart view we created. You can create your own smart views to filter in specific ways. So you can go in and filter if there's a specific way that you regularly view your opportunities. For example, we have the pending and under contract that have the tag military, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. We also have this search bar right here. This is going to allow you to find any opportunity in any account. So if you are in your team account or you are in your personal account, either way, you will be able to find those opportunities right here just by searching again by opportunity name, the address, or the contact name. You'll be able to find it through there. Alrighty, we're going to go back over to our pipelines tab and we're going to walk through here. So in our pipelines, we have 3 different pipelines. We have listings, we have buyers, and we have leases. Again, those are the types of transactions. And then in each pipeline, you have different phases. So your different phases are going to be cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and closed, except with the exception of the leases pipeline, which has pending instead of under contract. So again, this is like the lifetime of the opportunity here. We have this nice little graph here that kind of walks you through it. So your 5 phases, cultivate, this is where you're going to be starting to form the relationship with that contact or that client. Maybe you're collecting personal information, you're gathering information on what they're looking for, or you're just having that first real estate conversation with them. You're trying to get to the point where they're talking about setting an appointment with you. Once you get to talking about setting an appointment, it moves to the appointment phase. So again, pretty self-explanatory here. Appointment phase is when we're having the appointment. So when you've got it scheduled, when you've got it, when you've actually had the appointment, those will be the appointment phase. And then from there, we have our active phase. So the active phase is when you have ink on paper, you have signed documents, and you are now officially representing them as their listing agent or their buyer's agent. So, or their leasing agent if you're looking at leases. So any of those moving to active phase when you are signed and you are actively representing them. Next, we move to the under contract phase. That's pretty self-explanatory as well. It means once they go under contract, either for a listing, whether they're under contract to sell it, for buyers, they're under contract to purchase it, or pending for leases. And then finally, we have our closed phase as well, which is also pretty self-explanatory. It means that it has closed. So you will notice on here there are numbers under each of these icons here. That shows you how many opportunities you have in each phase of the pipeline. So you can easily get a view of that. You'll see underneath the volume. So that is the volume of all of the transactions in those phases. And then you also have your average time here. So the average time is how long an opportunity will sit in that specific phase, just on average. Now, this is a demo account, so hopefully your numbers look a good bit better than this. But it will give you a good idea of what it looks like. Now, you're going to notice in your closed phase, that is going to reset at the beginning of each month. So when your market center does their month-end close or their transmittal, whichever your market center calls it, they're the same thing. So once they do month-end close / transmittal, you will be able to see this number reset to 0. So this is closed for the month. So it will reset. You can still find your closed opportunities in this opportunities tab up top. No worries. But it will reset there just so you make sure you have a current ongoing pipeline here. On the right-hand side, you're going to see GCI, and you'll see it broken down into 2 different types. We have our potential income and we have our probable income. So the potential income is going to be the total commission from all of the opportunities in the whole pipeline. So all of these opportunities, if every single one was to close at the current price it's at, with the current commission rate it's at, that is what you are going to get as your income. Probable income is adjusted based off of where the opportunity is in the pipeline. So the further along the opportunity is, the more likely it is to close. And so this number will increase. So it gives you just a adjusted number here based off of the likelihood of the opportunities to close, just to give you a better idea of what that looks like. And again, we have that for our listings, buyers, and leases here. Now, if we scroll down even further, we're going to see this ratio graph right here. It will show you what percentage of your opportunities are listings, buyers, or leases for your different opportunity types. You're going to see the type down below, the number of opportunities you have for each, and then also the probable versus potential income here. Same definitions as it is for these up here. You're going to see this activity graph right here. And this is going to show your opportunities that you have active. So you'll be able to see what it looks like month to month. It will show you the past 12 months. So you'll be able to see what your business tends to look like, and it will give you a good idea of where you're at. Now, again, you'll see ours just progressively goes up, which isn't necessarily what we need since this, they're all currently active and none of them closed out here since again, it's a demo account. But in general, you'll see it fluctuate throughout the month. So that will give you a good idea of what it will look like for your opportunities to go through the pipeline here. Next, we have our closings this month down here. Again, this will also reset at the beginning of each month. And so you'll see that list is empty, but it will show you any that are set to close this month. Alrighty, so when we are in here, we're going to also, we'll look at our pipelines a little more in a little bit when we actually get to the second half of our class. But for now, we're going to look at actually going in and creating an opportunity. Now, again, with your opportunities, if you are on a team, you do want to make sure you are in the correct account. So click your name in the top right corner and either select your team or your personal account, whichever it is supposed to be in. And then you're going to go ahead and click create opportunity right here. There is another spot you can create opportunities. You can create them directly through the contact. So I will show you that real quick. We'll take a quick little detour over to our contacts applet here. And then I will just grab a contact and we will go to the opportunities tab. And from there, you can click create opportunity and select the opportunity type. So then it would automatically be linked to this contact directly, and you can find it here. We can go back. I want to show you through the opportunities tab. So I'm going to go ahead and click create opportunity. Same options. We have listing, buyer, landlord, and tenant. I'm going to choose listing for the demo today. There is like one difference between all of the opportunities, especially with your listings and buyers. And so I do want to show you where you can add that in. I'll show you what that is. But for the most part, listings, buyers, landlord, tenant, all the opportunities will be very similar. So I'm just going to choose the one type of opportunity and we'll walk through that today. I'm going to go ahead and go with our listing here. And then through here, you're going to see your market center, your opportunity owner. So if you are in more than one market center, you should have a drop-down menu here that allows you to select between the market centers. You do want to make sure that you have the correct market center selected when you do create that opportunity, because once you have created the opportunity under a market center, you cannot change it to a different market center. You would have to archive and recreate the opportunity if need be. So you do want to make sure that is correct. If you're just in the one market center, or you are on a team that is just in one market center and you're creating it through the team account, that will also only show a locked field here telling you what market center it's being created under. Your opportunity owner. Now, if you are on a team, you will generally see it owned by the rainmaker. So that may change there. And then down below, we have our assignees. Now, with the recent updates to the command accounts, you do have the ability to add guest users, such as admins or transaction coordinators, to your personal command as well, so that you can get them added in. We're going to go ahead and we can add in what we have as our admin. It's just a demo guest account, but we can add them in as well so that they are an assignee and can view the opportunity on their account as well. Next, we have the seller. So we're going to select from our contacts. Now you will notice that it currently has no options, just start typing. So we can go in, start typing the contact name, and then you can go through and you can find the correct contact through there. We can add more sellers through here if we need to. So if we have multiple sellers on a transaction, we can go ahead and we can add them in. And we can just add as many as we need through here. Next, we have the opportunity name, which does automatically just update with the primary contact's name, and then it will have dash listing, dash buyer, anything like that. It will classify what type of opportunity it is, but we can go in, we can adjust this. So we can say, for example, we can do our street address of the opportunity. We can add that in, or you can revert it back to the name. You can name it whatever you want. Next, we have our opportunity phase through here. We'll talk about our phases. We'll talk about the stages a little bit more in a little bit. I'm going to leave it just at cultivate right now. That's generally where you would begin. So we'll go with cultivate. Next, we can add in tags, and tags are not required. You do not have to enter in tags if you do not want to. Tags can be definitely helpful for you to be able to sort your business, like we were talking about earlier with our smart views. And we had the one that was showing military. Those were ones that were tagged with our military tag right here. So you can tag the different types of transactions that you do, whether you want to tag it as a referral or military or new construction or whatever you want to go in and tag it, however you want to sort your business, you can absolutely go in and do that. They are different, they are separate from your contact tags. So you can create new ones, you can enter them in here, but they are going to be separate from your contact tags. Next, we have this section where we can add the KWLS listing. So if we have the listing already, we can go ahead and add that in. You can either start typing the address down below, or we can go in and we can connect it right here. I'm just going to click add KWLS listing. Now, when I do that, it may pop up something that looks like this, which can definitely cause some confusion and sometimes a little bit of concern when you don't see any listings populating right here. There's a super easy fix for this. We're just going to click show all listings, or you can show your market center listings. Generally, it just shows only my listings or only my market center listings, and sometimes it doesn't populate listings through there. Then I definitely recommend searching by the MLS number. It's going to limit your search results, so we can go in and search by that. Let's go in and click search KWLS. And then we can go in and we can select the correct listing right here, and it will be added in. So that is really the biggest difference between a listing opportunity and a buyer's opportunity, is the adding the address from the MLS directly. So that is the biggest difference between all of them. We can go in and we can select the property type down here as well, and classification, so that we can have that added automatically. Otherwise, it will make us go in and add it when we are doing the offer. So if we took this off completely, then it would make us add it while doing the offer. Otherwise, it will automatically populate if we go ahead and put it in there. We can enter in the commission rate or the estimated commission amount and the estimated close date if we have that information. Anything with a red asterisk is going to be a required field. Anything that doesn't have a red asterisk, we can just skip over. But we did go ahead and add the MLS, which then automatically added in the list price for us. And then we also had the property type, which then made us choose the classification. I'm going to go ahead and click create right here. Alrighty, and now it has created an opportunity for us. Now on the left-hand side, we can go through and see all of the details. We can edit the property that is linked to our opportunity. We can remove it. We can add it back in. We have the ability to edit that. I'm sorry, clicked the wrong button there. We can go in and adjust our listing expiration date. Actually, nope, never mind. That pulled in automatically from the MLS, so it's not going to allow us to edit that. But we can go down property type and classification. That we can edit. We can edit the number of units that there are, so we could go in and adjust those. You'll see the email updates option, which we can toggle on through here. And email updates are basically going to send updates to your contact, so to your client, when different things are completed on the opportunity that are marked as a client update task. And we'll talk about that again when we get to the sales pipeline. I'll walk you through setting that up, but this is where you can turn it on within the individual opportunity. We can go in, we can see all of our sellers that are connected here. We can add more, so we can just keep adding them, start typing, and they'll pop up. We can remove existing ones. We can go directly to the contact by clicking that ellipses, and it will allow us to go there directly. We'll see the list price, contract price, estimated commission rate through here. So we can go in and edit those fields if we need to. I'm going to leave those there. I'm going to leave them as is. Next, we move over to our details tab right here. So we have our general information, which includes our tags. So we can add in more tags if we want to, or we can remove tags we have added. Our opportunity type, the opportunity name, we can also edit. The phase and stage, we can edit those as well. So we can go in and move it around. We can see our opportunity ID. And then once we create a commission request, we would also have a transaction ID right here. Next, we have the ownership. Again, the market center and the opportunity owner cannot be adjusted once they've been added. You can go in and you can remove assignees or add new assignees to the opportunity if you need to. And so we can go in and remove our guest user from the opportunity, and it's just us on here now. And on the right-hand side, we also have our key dates fields. The key dates are going to be great, especially when it comes to your checklists, which we'll talk about in a bit. So we can go in and we can add in our key dates here. So once our appointment has been scheduled, we can go ahead and select when the appointment was scheduled, when the appointment date is set for. So maybe it's set for Monday. And then we can go in and add in these dates when we have them. Our photography date, we can add that in. I'm just going to add in a couple here, just so we have those. So we'll say they signed on Monday. And now we have those key dates added in there. Since we have it marked as signed, we can go ahead and set it as appointment or active. I'm going to leave that. I'll show you another way where we can update that in a little bit as well. You can also add in a description right here as well. Next, we have our Documents tab, and this is where we are going to sync the transaction with Transact or .loop, whichever you're using. We're going to, when I walk through the whole process, we'll cover that a little bit more, but you can go in and sync it with your Transact through here. Next, we have the Offers and Commissions tab. Pretty self-explanatory. It's where you will upload offers for the opportunity, and then you will submit a commission request. We have the vendors. You can go in and add the vendors for your opportunity. So attorneys, escrow officers, home warranty, inspector, insurance, mortgage, notary, or title. You can go in and add them in. Any notes you have for the opportunity, you can add in here. And then we also have our timeline, which will show any time anything is adjusted in the opportunity. So anytime something is edited in the opportunity, updated, added, you're going to see here in your details tab, or your timeline, sorry. We can also export documents here. We can see the tasks up here, which we'll talk about those. We can generate a summary for the opportunity if we wanted to do that. Or we can click these three dots and mark it as lost or archive it, or go to our opportunity settings. So the difference between marking an opportunity as lost and archiving it, we'll go ahead and clarify that one. When you are marking an opportunity as lost, it means that you have lost your agreement with the client, so seller, buyer, in this case, the seller, and you are no longer representing them as their agent. So a lost opportunity would mean that you are not representing them any longer. Now, if you, for example, go under contract and then that one, falls out for some reason and you have to go back active, that wouldn't count as a lost opportunity. I will show you some ways we can work with that in a little bit. So we can work with it. Lost is just not representing them anymore. And then we can also archive it, which would happen generally if maybe we entered it under the wrong market center, or we didn't upload it under the team or something like that. Basically, we made a mistake that we can't edit, then you can archive it from there. Alrighty, so now we are going to kind of covered our opportunities overview. So now we're going to go back and we are going to look at our sales pipeline. So we will go in and we will talk about that. I saw someone ask a question, if I duplicated an opportunity, can you delete it? In that case, you would want to archive the duplicate. So we're going to go back out here to our opportunities pipeline. So we're going to go in and we're going to walk through the sales pipeline now. Question, how do I delete your contact? I can show you that. Give me just a few minutes and I can show you that in a couple of minutes, maybe closer to the end. Yeah. All right. We've got our sales pipeline here. So we're going to kind of walk through the lifetime of the opportunity. So we've got our opportunity here. we have, again, our different pipelines or our different phases in our pipeline. We talked about that already. But if you click on the icon here, it will actually bring you into that phase and you can see all of the opportunities you've created. So we got this one. This is the one we created today. So we can drag it along, watch, nurture, hot. Again, these are just the classifications. These are called stages inside of your phase. So you have a pipeline, which is either listings, buyers, or leases. We have our phases, which are cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and closed. Or you have and then you have your stages within your different phases. So each phase has different stages. So watch, nurture, and hot. That's the classification of the lead, especially in the cultivate phase here. We can move it over to the appointment phase since we've got that added as a key date here. So we've got that, and then we can go in, we can see scheduling, it's been scheduled and it's been kept. We have those phases, then, or stages, sorry. And then under active, you have a couple more. Now, your stages can be edited. That is something you can adjust, and we'll look at that in just a second here. And so if we go back, I'm going to go to the appointment phase here. Then I'm going to click stages and checklists up here in the top right corner. And this is where we can go in, we can adjust our stages, we can change the names of each of the stages so we can edit them. We can adjust the probability that it will close if we know our business a little bit better and it's a little bit better or a little bit worse in each of these phases or stages. You can go in and adjust that. The probability to close, again, is where the probable GCI pulls in from. So it's based off of these percentages you have right here. We can go in, we can edit those, we can add new stages. So this is customizable. You can adjust that to what works for you. If maybe these stage names don't make sense to you, you can go in and you can add new ones or edit them so that it works for you and your business. But we can go in each stage. We also have the option to add a checklist. So a checklist is going to be a built-in to-do list. It can pop up notifications for you in your command. So in your tasks applet, you'll be able to add those tasks to this opportunity or to this stage, and you'll be able to see them pop up. Now, KW does have a sample one that they've created. I did just drop the link in the chat here. But we can go in, when you pull it up like that, it's going to say make a copy. So we're going to click on that. And then it's going to go in and it's going to give you this whole checklist here. And you can go based off of buyers, listings, leases down at the bottom. They have some tags that they may recommend as well. We can go back over to our listings here. And let's see, we're in our scheduling. So we can see it has all of the different phases and stages. It's broken down for you here. So we can go in and we can copy this whole task right here. Go back over to our opportunities, to our stages and checklists. That's, I believe, under, what was it, scheduling. We're going to go here. We're going to go to our checklist here. And we're going to go ahead and add a task. I'm just going to go ahead and paste it right there. Now, you can also include this in email updates, which we talked about a little bit earlier. I said we'd circle back to it, so here we are. But you have the ability to include that in an email update. So basically, email updates, you can mark it as a client update type task. So when you complete the task, it's going to send an email to your clients at the end of the business day. You set the time. You set the time when that will be sent out. When you set up the email updates for your client through the opportunity, they'll be automatically turned off. Not everyone wants updates, email updates for every single thing that's completed, especially like investors and things like that. But maybe you have someone who it's their first transaction or who just wants a little bit more hand-holding. They like to know what's going on. Just totally fine. You can just set up the email updates for them. And then anytime you create a task that has their that is marked as an email update task, it will send them an email that day. So if you complete multiple, it'll have them all in the same email. It won't send 10 different emails for it. But they will get an email that says, I can actually show you what one looks like when we get back to the opportunity. But you can go in and you can set it. It will send them an email saying, hey, here's what we completed for your listing at this address today, and it will list out any tasks that were marked as email update tasks. If it is not marked as an email update task, it will not send them an email. It will not be included in the email. If also you don't complete something in a day, it's not going to send them an email that day. So don't worry, it's not going to send them an email saying we didn't do anything. Nobody wants that. But it would not send them. And obviously, that doesn't mean that you didn't actually do anything. It just means that nothing was included in the email update. We all know there's a lot going on behind the scenes there that not even the clients necessarily always understand all that goes on behind the scenes. So it won't send them an email update for every little thing, just what you turn on there. We can set our task type, call, text, or other. We can add a description, hyperlink, and priority level we can set. And then we have our due dates here as well. Now, due dates, this isn't necessarily the best task for an example here, but we'll go for it anyway. We have our due date types, and there are what are called smart due dates. So a smart due date is going to go based off of the key dates in your opportunity. So if you remember, I added in a couple key dates. So we can go in and we can type on a smart due date. We can select the key date here. So when the opportunity is created, the estimated schedule date or estimated close date, the appointment is scheduled, the appointment date, anything like that. I'm going to go with our appointment scheduled. We'll go ahead and click create right here. So then on that date, it would give us that task to pull the deed information here. And then when we mark the task as complete, it would send it in an email update. Now, KW's spreadsheet, definitely recommend checking that out. They also have whether they would recommend including it as a client update. Again, do what works for you in your business. You do not have to use all of these samples. It's just their list of things that might be useful for you, just compiled all together to make your life a little bit easier and have that going in there. So we're going to go back over to our opportunity here. All right, so we'll go in and I'm going to save that now. So now we have our whole checklist here all created. We can go in and we can rearrange the tasks. We can go into the tasks here. We can click these three dots. We can delete them or edit them or anything like that. So you can go in and do all of that. But we'll go ahead and save that. Alrighty, so we're going to go back out to our opportunities here. So we're going to go back. Cultivate, did I drag the wrong one over? Or maybe it's under active now. There we go. Yeah, I moved it to active. So we'll say for our opportunity, we've met the person, we've gone through our cultivate phase, we've met them, we've, talked to them about real estate, we've gone through and we've cultivated that relationship, we've set our appointment, and then we get to the point where we are active. So maybe we're technically still in appointment phase because we need to send out some documents for signature. I'm going to move that over. Go back to the appointment phase here. All right, so then we are here, and I'm going to go into my opportunity. I do see a question, can I unarchive an opportunity? Yes, you can. So if we go in, I can show you that as an example really quick. If you click these three dots and click archive, let's say yes, and it's going to tell you this opportunity is archived. You can just click restore, and it will restore it back, and it will unarchive that opportunity for you. So it's in the same opportunity. You can also, I think, click the three dots and click restore there where you would have archived it before. But when we are in our opportunity here, this is where we will want to start sending out documents for signatures. This is why it's important that we had our Lone Wolf connected in here. So I'm going to go in here, and every market center is a little bit different here. So some market centers, you will just automatically see the checklist type right here, the compliance checklist type. Otherwise, you'll just have to click this pick checklist type and select the one that applies to you. So we can say residential, and then it will have the checklist that your market center has put together. Again, every area is different. Everyone has different requirements, so your documents needed may be different than mine. There are a couple different classifications for the requirements. So we have required, which is going to be a red bar here. Optional, which will be yellow. And then there's one that's conditional and it will be orange. I don't believe this market center actually has any that are conditional, at least not under listings that I've seen. So I can't show you what that looks like here. But you would be able to see an orange kind of between the two colors here. And it would say conditional on it. So that's the requirement for uploading to your market center. You'll want to make sure all of your required ones are uploaded and then any of the optional ones that need to be uploaded as well. So we can go in here. So we've selected our checklist type. Now we're going to sync it with Lone Wolf Transact. So I'm just going to click sync with Transact in the top right corner. If you have .loop and currently if you have DocuSign connected as well, it will show sync with eSign provider, I believe is what the button says, something along those lines. They've changed the wording a couple times, so if it's slightly different, it will be in the same place that mine says sync with Transact. And then you would just click, it would have a drop-down menu that would appear and would ask you whether you wanted to connect to .loop or Lone Wolf. So I went ahead and clicked sync with Transact, and it's going to bring us over to Lone Wolf. If it'll load for me, there we go. So then it does bring us over here, and we have our documents here. Now, another thing that's important to note, in your transactions, when you do load them, sometimes you will see documents automatically populating, depending on what is set by your market center, and sometimes you won't. If you're not seeing any, that's not necessarily a problem. It's usually just what your market center has as the settings. So maybe they have different types of documents for you to choose from. Then, any extra documents that were automatically uploaded might kind of clutter up your paperwork section here. So if you're not seeing any paperwork automatically populate here, that's not necessarily something to be worried about. We can click add paperwork in the top right corner. You can link your NRDS, which we talk about a little bit more in our Lone Wolf 101 class. But we can go in and we can add paperwork through here. So we'll go ahead and we'll add our working with real estate agents. That's the disclosure. So we can say, see here what we have in here. Buyer representation, exclusive right to represent seller. So we can go ahead and we can add those in. Or this is our standard agency. We'll go with that one. Oh, that's a buyer. Didn't mean to add that, but we'll go with it. We'll go down and add seller. We can remove it if we've added it in there. I just selected the wrong one. Sorry about that. But we can go in and select the documents that you'll need in here. Now, once we've added it, I'm going to go ahead and remove this buyer one because I do not need that. Then we have them. They will automatically pop up in not filed, but we can rearrange them. We can move them to where we need them. And then you can send them out for signature and have them come back to you. So once you've sent them out for signature, again, check out the Lone Wolf 101 class for that. I don't have the time to go through that today. But once you've done all of that and you've gotten back your documents for signature, we can also manually upload paperwork from our computer if we need to. So we can go in, let me see if I can grab one real quick. Let me just see if it'll, nope, it didn't let. Now we can go in and click add paperwork and go to this upload tab. And that's where we can drag and drop files. Or we can click browse and pull it up from our computer. I'll go ahead and upload that file real quick. It'll take, there we go. So now it's right there. We can move it down to the correct folder if we need to. Now, then we'll go back over to our opportunity once we have it, signed. Then I'm going to hit the refresh button on my browser. Very important, especially if it just came back from being signed. It will not populate unless you refresh your browser. So go ahead and do that. And then we can go in and attach files from Lone Wolf Transact. So once we've connected it to one e-signature provider, whether that's Lone Wolf Transact or it is .loop or previously DocuSign, you cannot select a different transaction, an e-signature platform. So once you've selected Lone Wolf or .loop, previously DocuSign, you will not be able to switch to a different signature platform. You can archive and recreate the opportunity if you need to connect to the correct platform. Or we can upload manually from our computer if we need to. So we have some options there. If we wanted to download them from the correct platform and upload them manually, we could do that. Otherwise, we can just archive and recreate the opportunity. No big deal here. Then we have our working folder here. So we have not filed, closed, listed, under contract. So those are going to be the same ones we have in here. So if paperwork was not filed, we might need to switch over there. But we did move it to listed. So then we can go down and we can select our documents here. Now it will only show PDFs and ones that are completed with the signatures. Otherwise, you can click these three dots and click include transact forms, and that will just give you more options through here. So you can go in and select all of the forms through there. So that will give you some more options. But we'll go back and we will go in and add our, I'm just going to go ahead and, we can split and attach we can add documents, split and attach PDFs or export documents here as well. You can go ahead and upload it directly here. We can also, again, switch to our computer and we can go ahead and we can manually upload that as well. Just drag and drop it. It will upload here and you'll be able to add all of those forms through here. So once you've filled this out and uploaded all of the documents that are needed, so all of the ones that are required, you can go in and you can upload those here. So once you've uploaded them, you're going to click submit to Market Center right here, or to MC. MC stands for Market Center. So you'll go in and submit to Market Center. Your compliance team will review that, and then they will let you know if it's approved or anything needs to be changed or you're missing anything, and they'll let you know. So we'll do that with our listed, and then we go to under contract. We would do the same thing as we move through the opportunity. Now we're going to go ahead and look at creating an offer as well. So we're going to go to the offers and commissions tab. So once you get an offer from the buyers, you're going to go here and you're going to click add new offer. Then we'll go in, we can name the offer, initial offer is what automatically populates. We can leave it like that. We can add KWLS listing. It's already linked here, but if we hadn't already linked it, it would just be the same process we talked about earlier, where you select it and you just switch to show either market center listings or all listings, preferably search by MLS number. It's a little easier. And then we can go down here. We have our seller information and then buyer information. Again, anything with a red asterisk is a required field, but we'll just fill this out with the information we have. So we'll say this buyer is pre-approved. Go ahead and add that in. We can add co-buyers or we can add their agent representative. Representative. We can scroll down. We have the terms and dates here. So we have our sales price. Maybe we want to say it is a, how much is cash? We'll go enter that in, earnest percentage, earnest amount, escrow status, commission rate, we can enter that in. So we can say that this is listing. So we'll go in and enter that in, our contract date. So contract date is when you go under contract. You can go in and select when the close date would be. So I'm going to go ahead and say, we'll go the 14th of August. We can add any contingencies here, any comments, and then we can create the offer here. So if we get multiple offers, we can go in, we can add new offers here as well. We can go in and fill this out again. So we can say they're pre-approved and pre-qualified. We'll go down here. Terms and dates, maybe, well, actually we'll remove that because we'll say it's a cash offer. So we'll go ahead and enter that in. Then maybe we want to go above. Let's change. Maybe it's above ask price. So we'll go in and we'll adjust that. We can enter in whatever we have through here. And we can enter our close date again. Maybe we'll say it's a short closing. So we'll go enter that in and we'll go ahead and we'll say create offer. Now we have multiple offers, so we can see easily right here what they look like. We can select multiple offers here and click compare offers in the top right corner. And it's going to give us this table that has a comparison side by side, sales price, whether it's, cash offer, how much is being financed, the earnest money, contract date, close date, any comments, whether they're pre-approved or pre-qualified. We can also download this, and it would download it as a document here. So we can go here and download it as a PDF. We can download that template. We can also email the offer comparison to our sellers if they want us to email that over. And we can go in, we can preview the email. So we can say, hey, great news, you have two offers. And then they can compare the offers here. It'll show them below. They can compare them. So that's what it would look like. You can adjust the email message. You can send a copy to your own email as well. And then you can click send offer and it will send it over to them. Now we can go back. I'm going to go back out here to our offers. Maybe they've decided that they want to accept an offer. So we're going to go, we'll say the one above ask price. That's a cash offer. So we can go in here, we can click accept. Now you'll notice when you click accept, it brings you into the offer automatically. That is because we did not enter a contract date here. So our contract date will set as today. And we'll go in and we can click save and accept offer from there. Once we save and accept the offer, it's going to bring us to what is called a commission request. So this is where we go in. This is what we submit to our market center to request them that they pay us. So very important step. Don't want to miss that. But we can go in and we can edit this general information. Just make sure everything looks right. Go down to our commission information, any co-brokers or anything. And we can add ourselves, add an agent. Now we can add an agent to be paid. And then we can enter in that information and submit it to our market center. This is how they will be able to pay us once we've gone in and entered this in and submitted it to our market center. So very important step. Don't miss it. And then once they're under contract, obviously we're going to go back over here. We're going to go to our under contract phase and we're going to upload those documents and submit them to the market center. Now, earlier we did mention if an opportunity does fall through for some reason, like the contract itself falls through, not our representation agreement with the sellers. But if we're under contract and our buyers back out for some reason, we can keep the same opportunity. We can just go and create what's called a new checklist version. So we're going to click our under contract button right here, and we're going to click add version. So we're going to say it automatically has under contract version 2. We can click create new version. And then once we start uploading documents here, I'm going to go, I'm just going to grab that one real quick. Once we've started uploading documents here, it's going to set this version as the one that is automatically selected when we come in here. And then we can submit this new copy to our market center so that we don't have to go through and recreate the whole opportunity. We don't have to go in and resubmit the listing documents since we are still representing them. Just once we go under contract, we can change our checklist version here so we can have multiple things if we have some situations happening there. Alrighty, that is all we have for our class today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this recording, and I'm going to grab these questions in the chat. So if you have more questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat. If you're not sticking around for questions, that's totally fine. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and a fantastic weekend ahead.